Justin Timberlake hosts the biggest live Kids' Choice Awards ever. Tonight,
2007 must have been a banger year, and I wish I could have enjoyed it more, but I guess I was too busy going to elementary school?
Why does he hate us so?
Yep, the government held me down, guys. I couldn't reach my full potential because I was attending elementary school, and I was kept from all the important knowledge that came with 2007. Now, I'm just kidding. This is going to be a lot of satire. I don't think anybody really kept me captive during this time.
Help! Help!
But I will make any excuse to make up for the fact I didn't realize this was the most important year in television history. More specifically, Teennick.
I know you probably want to see that someone here has empathy. It's wasteful to be ignorant and be like us useless.
Not only were some of the best shows just starting, but some of the even better shows were just ending. It was like an impactful year more than it was an amazing year, I guess. Not only that, some of the best video games, movies, like, there is so much that happened in this year for Teennick that I just never really gave credit for. Upon looking on the internet, I found some pretty interesting stuff. I've been researching, trying to figure out what kind of cartoon video I should do next, and I stumbled upon all this extra information from 2007 that I just kind of had to share with you guys, because I didn't think this year needed so much coverage, but it deserves it. Let's start with some of the shows that premiered. And I'm talking series, not like season premieres, but like fully for the first time came out. So one of the shows that started at this time that I must have just casually missed was Just Jordan. And this is not just a Nickelodeon show, this is specifically a Teennick show.
Just Jordan, Sundays at 7:30, only in Teennick.
I'm just saying.
Like, it's written all over the font of its title. Sure, it didn't go on for more than like 2 years with only about 30 episodes, but it started here, January 7th. So it was definitely the beginning of its peak.
How you like me now?
It's about a kid named Jordan Lewis.
Hi, Jordan.
So what it do, shawty?
He's a 15-year-old moving to Los Angeles from Little Rock. His mom and dad are divorced, and he and his younger sister, they've come with their mother to work at their grandmother's diner, which is kind of a cool setup. And the mom is really overprotective, the cousin is really bossy, and the whole first episode is about Jordan trying out for basketball practice, but he doesn't make it and kind of blames it on Tony.
You people just don't get tired of talking about Tony, do you? Tony shows up on time. Tony doesn't start grease fires. Tony doesn't steal tips.
Unlike a lot of other shows, maybe because of its lack of popularity, but I cannot seem to find a lot of information on the episodes themselves. Like, it seems to just have the air dates and the titles of the episode, which is less information than I've really had to work with any show I've dug up. It's so funny because it's 2007, it's not like the prehistoric times.
Like a pet dinosaur.
because we don't.
What are you talking about? He's standing right here.
But it's definitely dating the series. Another one we have is Naked Brothers Band, which actually came out in February. See, this is how I know I was in middle school, because I remember the girl I liked said I looked like Nat Wolff, and I was hoping that was a compliment, but I feel like it was more of a jab that it was like, this is not who you actually are.
Feel free to laugh your heads off.
If you guys catch my drift. Maybe I was too busy going to those roller skating rink after school parties to know that this was the first time this show aired. In February. Apparently the band formed in 2001 when Nat Wolff himself was 5 years old. Oh my god.
Hi, I'm Nat Wolff, and the first song that I wrote was called Mama Don't Cry. I wrote it when I was 4.5.
We worry about child actors now. This is prepubescent actors. Ugh.
Ew, nasty.
And I feel like the thing I remember the most about it is his relationship with Rosalina, who is this girl that's also in their band. So I guess it's a power dynamic show. No, I'm just kidding. But this show does actually a really good job at tackling male feminine problems. Maybe because it was the mother who ran the show with her kids. I feel like looking back, maybe that's like a signal that it might have not been a good work environment. But to me, it feels like that's a very organic way to start a show. Have your mother be the one to write the episodes, and she's so emotionally intuitive because you could tell through the episodes, not only is it about Nat Wolff and his brother Alex forming this band with their friends in a documentary style.
That's a good idea.
But we hear a lot about how they're supposed to treat women, a lot about dealing with their own emotional intelligence. Like, it definitely did more than I expected a show would do at that time. This is something I can only really notice looking back in 2025, because at the time it was just another show on TV. But really, it was so much more than that. I'd love to dive deeper into this show in the future, but for now, like, I just want to mark it as one of the best additions to 2007 in shaping the identity of Teennick and kind of how everything was going at the time. This show went on for like 3 seasons and 41 episodes, plus another movie. And this show kind of has an interesting story because it was originally made as like just a mockumentary by Polly Draper, the mother of the kids. And it was like this little comedy musical film following this young band and their young drama. It was shot like a mockumentary, and it was definitely like a parody in its setup. That was shot in 2004 in New York City, where they kind of lived in their family's apartment. I always thought that was really interesting to think of a backstory that was so intricate like that. When they took the movie to a film festival, one of the Nickelodeon executives, Albie Hecht, ended up purchasing the movie and then ordered a pilot for the Nickelodeon series of the same name. And I love that they kept her at the forefront of this project because it was definitely a great start to a awesome series. The movie premiered in 2007, and so this is when the show really got kicked into high gear. So if you can remember this show at all, this started in 2007.
Alex, we can't insult our viewers. I'm only insulting the ones who don't watch.
Their entire first season also premiered within 2007, with the final episode being in October. So this show really owns its origins in the 2007 year. And if we're moving to the cartoon side of things, it was also a pretty phenomenal year, as one of my favorite action shows, El Tigre, The Adventures of Manny Rivera, was picked up by Nickelodeon. Apparently, the first screening of the show was actually in January 2007 with the Nickelodeon creative team in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And I'm jealous. I wish I was there, but I was in elementary school, guys. Give me a break. I don't remember what I thought of this show immediately, except for the fact that his costume was definitely the most cool out of all characters on Nickelodeon at the time. I know Danny Phantom had been going on for a couple years at this point, maybe Fairly Odd Parents, but this was definitely a hit. It didn't last longer than 1 season, but it definitely stayed longer than that. It's set in the fictional crime-ridden world of Miracle City.
Miracle City, a spicy cesspool of crime and villainy.
And he's this 13-year-old kid named Manny Rivera.
Manuel Pablo Gutierrez Superaniquiu Rivera! What is going on here?
Who has the abilities to essentially be this tiger. But it's all about the dynamic of him wanting to be good, but his uncle is evil, so he has to kind of decide between his father and his uncle when he wants to make a moral decision, which is really intricate.
Thus did El Tigre choose evil.
I don't know why, I feel like this show is just so good at explaining the complexities of what we define as good and evil. And not only that, it was just really funny. The art was incredible. It kind of reminded me of that Cartoon Network show, Mucha Lucha. Because they have like the same Mexican inspired art. But this was actually created by a husband and wife team named George Gutierrez and Sandra Equija, and they apparently used it with experiences that they had when they were younger.
My name is Sandra Equija.
I'm Jorge Gutierrez.
And we are the creators of El Tigre.
So for El Tigre, the original idea was it's a Mexican nuclear family. And it was actually called Familia Nuclear. Familia Atómica. Then from that, it evolved into this idea of a little kid whose dad is a superhero, whose grandpa's a supervillain. And that all came from us, like our families.
So it aired aired on March 3rd with the pilot Soul of a Hero being played, and I think they added a couple extras there too to get us hyped up about it, like Enter the Cuervo and Fistful of Collars. I like it when shows start with more than one episode because you really need to get a sense of what the entire series is going for as opposed to the individual episodes. And this was definitely a good call. This show was very close to being completely aired in 1 year. With the show only having 26 episodes, they aired the first 21 or 22 up until June 2008. So the first 16 episodes were all aired in 2007 and the rest in 2008. And it looks like Nickelodeon didn't seem to carry it out even further because everything after episode 22 is aired on the Nicktoons network, not even on Nickelodeon themselves anymore. So I don't know why they gave up on it so quickly. This was such a good series, but hey, I digress. Now this next one I don't know too much about, but I do remember being on the screen of my television. It's based on that book series. It's called Wayside. And I feel like the whole premise is that it's this really wacky school named Wayside, and it's a 30-story grammar school. And the whole school was actually built sideways, and that's the whole gimmick.
Whoa! It really is 30 stories tall!
With one classroom in each of the 30 stories instead of 30 classrooms on one floor, which is actually kind of a really funny concept. And just like the books, there's actually 30 floors in the school, and the imaginary 19th floor is inhabited by imaginary Miss Zarvis.
Legend says that's where the door to Miss Zar's class was supposed to go.
The series focuses on a new student at the school named Todd and his adventures navigating the top floor.
She's eating a box of pens.
Todd,
This was a Canadian animated one, which was produced and owned by Nelvana Enterprises by John Derevenley to take the books to the screen. But you know all TV shows don't just start on the TV screen. Apparently, this whole idea was conceived in 2003, and it was a 50-minute long pilot called Wayside the Movie. It was actually produced in 2005. Teletoon greenlit it for 26 22-minute episodes, with 13 episodes of 2 segments. The show officially ended in July 2008, but it definitely made its American debut right there in March 2007. And it was actually given a pretty good reception. It was named the best TV series for children, which is really sweet. But there's a lot of criticisms between the way it's drawn in the show versus the books. Like, it feels like it has a weaker production value. And there's so many differences from the books in itself, but it's still cool to have a show based on a book series like that. I feel like I don't have too much to say further than that, as I don't really remember growing up with this show. I guess I'm more so curious if you guys like this show, or even the book series, and like what it triggered in you seeing this again. All around, one of those funny stories of how the pilot came years before this, and then this is when the first season started airing. It just must have been such a important year for Teennick. Oh, what was another cartoon premiere was interesting too. Tak and the Power of Juju. Have you guys heard of this show? It's almost like exactly like the video game series. But this was before the Mario and Sonic movie came out, before video games were proven to be in anything longer than a video game format. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, even a full-length movie, it just didn't work at that time. And this show definitely struggled to gain an audience. It was canceled after 26 episodes, which is funny because that is the same fate as El Tigre, but I do feel like El Tigre did such a better job all around. But, you know, whatever, I can't really argue. The first 8 episodes aired throughout 2007 on Nickelodeon. This is kind of a big deal because it was the first game licensed by Nick Games, not based on a Nick cartoon series. Oh, so Nick was always involved in this show. Apparently the first idea came out in 1996, with Avalanche Studio pitching it to THQ and Nickelodeon at the same time. I guess Nickelodeon was just investing in games at the time, because this was always their property. And I remember this show had the complete feel of a video game, maybe by the characters being so over-dramatic.
Fuck, who tied you up?
I did.
Or just the whole jungle vibe of the art inspired by it. But it, like, took a software and turned it into a TV show in a pretty easy way. Like, the Mario ones don't look exactly like their video game counterparts, but this one, I swear, it looks like the episodes were taken from the contents of the game. I think it was even promoted as the 30th Nicktoon total. It was computer animated and directed by Nick Jennings. But beside nostalgia bait, a lot of these episodes don't really contain memorable moments that are, like, worth mentioning. Like, maybe because I didn't grow up with this show super well, so I didn't have an attachment with it, but I don't know. I feel like just the ambiance of this game is just so detailed and well suited for a Nickelodeon show. It sucks that it really didn't end up working out, and I'll always remember watching the promos for it on my Nickelodeon VHSs, but it's definitely one of the failures of the year. This is where it gets hard to argue, because September 8th is when iCarly premiered. For all we knew at the time, this was just another Drake and Josh spinoff that Dan Schneider created.
I don't think so, Megan. In fact, why don't you just run up to your... Hey! What the? Megan, you can't just flip someone.
I remember being very hesitant to like it because I was so focused on how good the shows were before it. Even Zoe 101 was kind of ruining my reputation for the brand at the time too, but I definitely tuned in. And I remember feeling very apprehensive throughout the first season, probably because I guess I was in elementary school. I could have sworn I was at least in middle school, but there's no way I was this critical of TV shows this young. But I guess I was. I had to have been. But when it started, like, think about it, we only knew so much. It was like the pilot of the series, where Carly gets accused of photodocking Miss Briggs onto a rhinoceros, and then her friend, who keeps getting in trouble, gets chosen to judge the school talent show with Freddie Benson, played by Nathan Kress, to turn the whole thing into a video. And it made history because it definitely predicted the internet culture and how things would inevitably be, like, probably only 5 years later. And I wonder if the chicken came before the egg. Like, maybe we just all replicated exactly what iCarly did and became this dystopian future, or they just predicted everything that happened before it did. I mean, I don't know. You guys guess.
Let's spread the word, baby. Move, we're from the internet.
When they put out the first episode, they also put out the I Want More Viewers episode, where all the cast was trying to fight to get more views on the channel, which is definitely a better representation of the show's tone and kind of what it was going for at the time. And this show outlived Drake and Josh, Zoe 101. Like, it was definitely the most popular Dan Schneider show to date.
I just signed an autograph. Get used to it. iCarly's a great show.
With 2007 being the lift-off to that rocket. It even got a revival series in the 2020s.
Welcome to the new iCarly.
Nickelodeon must have taken their time to release these things because it, like, only had the first 11 episodes air through that entire year. Although, I guess the year started in September, so that's kind of half a year. That's a lot of episodes, actually. I go back on my point. But yeah, like, iCarly is definitely one of the infamous shows. Like, we've seen it all together, not only through this channel, but through other means too. And to think that this was the year that made it happen, like, I'm not surprised everything around it also elevated higher. But I feel like even though the show was popular right off the bat, until it was season 2 or 3 did it really blow up and become like, wow, this show is probably gonna stay for a while. Do you guys remember having any animosity toward the Dan Schneider series at that age? I mean, for me, I definitely thought that its comparison to Drake and Josh would have killed it, and that was kind of the end of those series, but I didn't know Victorious or Sam and Cat would come along, but I'm curious if you guys did. Like, did you foresee this popularity thing when it came out right away? Were you like, wow, this is revolutionary? Because I wasn't. The last show that premiered in this year was Back at the Barnyard. And this is another one where there was a pilot movie that came out years prior that justified it being put on TV. This, I think, was the shortest turnaround time, with the movie coming out in 2006, and then the show came out in 2007. This show was always super funny to me. I don't know why the humor is just so outlandish.
My name's Sally.
I'm at that awkward age.
And actually, I don't know if I was always into it when it first came out. Like in 2007, you definitely wouldn't catch me watching it because I was still focused on SpongeBob and Fairly Odd Parents or the earlier legacy stuff. But this being at the tailer end of the 2000s really took me by surprise, more so way after the show came out. It revolves around Otis, this bull, and his barnyard friends, and they all goof around and do things after hours, which is the perfect tone for a Nickelodeon show. Like, Nickelodeon is all about being cynical and outlandish, and this show does it really well.
You've been fired from your job so you can't pay the bills, and by the way, your wife is leaving too.
If anything, it's the closest show with a live-action tone that fit into a cartoon than all the other ones. Like SpongeBob, sure, like, it's pretty animated and quirky, but this one actually is like, the characters are a lot more alive, and they argue with each other, have real issues, and I don't know, it's just wacky.
You know what animal control does with dangerous animals.
We're all singing, and we're in high school, we're adorable, making a musical in high school.
The movie itself had a really deep message with Otis's father dying and everything having a lot more emotional stakes, and I do feel like in some ways the show dumbed it down a little bit, took a character or two away. Anything that could have made it a grounded story was pretty much erased, and it was just barnyard animals having fun. I feel like Nickelodeon started to get off that track of like, our shows need to have emotional depth, which is crazy because the SpongeBob movie, Barnyard, Jimmy Neutron, like all these old movies are what made this channel so good. And I can't believe Nickelodeon never really realized what they did so well. But for me, the kid bully is the funniest character. Like, I cannot believe how disrespectful this kid could be. I always remember thinking like, wow, this is like the rudest kid in the classroom. Like, this is the kid that does not care what any adults think and will just do whatever he wants. Like, he bullies his grandparents fully in this show.
Whatever. I'll do what I want.
And this wasn't a complete failure, although it didn't last for 5 seasons or even 3 seasons. It was a 2-season show, but it had a good run. I feel like anything after 1 season is kind of popular for Nickelodeon. Like, Tak and the Power of Juju never made it past that, neither did El Tigre even, and they're still remembered shows. So this one was just above the popular reign. They only had the first 5 episodes air throughout Nickelodeon in 2007, but that was enough to get people excited about it. Episodes were coming out literally until March 17th, 2012, which is kind of ridiculous to me. I don't know how you stretch 2 seasons out into 4 or 5 years of content. I mean, I guess cartoons you could do whatever you want, but whatever. I don't know if I remember what the pilot was, but it was definitely about the school bully character. They aired with The Good, the Bad, and the Snotty, and then Escape from the Barnyard. The Good, Bad, and the Snotty was the one where Otis makes a prank call to the farmer to leave the barnyard for a day so they could have a party, which is definitely the perfect opening to a series. And then, of course, things go haywire when the bully I was telling you about earlier starts coming around, and he's the one that kind of outs them. He's like their Denzel Crocker.
Too late! F's for everyone!
And consistently tries to tell people that they're alive, but nobody believes him. And they also attached Escape from the Barnyard along with that episode, which has all the characters freaking out when the farmer buys a barbecue grill because they think they're all about to be eaten.
How do you like your friends, Otis? Grilled or
which is definitely amazing. Like, I love that start to the series. Like, it definitely sets up its cynical nature. Overall, though, like, definitely a fun show in my eyes. Like, whether it's successful or not, it grabbed me, and I do see this as one of the underrepresented TV shows. But not only do we have new series premieres, we also have series finales. Like, not even just season finales, but full-on ends of shows. So not only was this an era in its own right, but it had to also have the responsibility of coming down from 2006, 2005. Like, it had to slowly take out these great shows as it introduced these new ones. And if I were them, I would have been nervous too. Like, Back at the Barnyard wasn't an instant success, neither was El Tigre, Naked Brothers Band even. And did iCarly look like it was going to be successful that early on? No. So they knew that things were going to be crazy, and in order to keep their audience, they had to keep the vibe and tone of like Jimmy Neutron and all these classic Nicktoons and keep it going. Cat Scratch is one of the shows that ended in this year. Cat Scratch was actually only one season, which really surprised me. This is one of the shows I expected to be as long as My Gym Partner's a Monkey from Cartoon Network. Do you guys remember that show about the little boy that goes to a school full of animals? Well, that show is like surprisingly dense. It's 5 seasons and it almost has like 60, 70 episodes, so I never expected it to be as long as it was. But I did expect it to be as long as this. Like, for some reason, I thought Cat Scratch went on as long as that show, but it didn't.
No, it cannot be! It cannot be!
This one only had 20 episodes total, but it's about these cats that inherited their really rich mother's house. Gordon, Waffle, and Mr. Blick just essentially live the life. I feel like if I liked cats more at that age, I definitely would have jumped in on this. But I never really got super attached to it. It started in 2005 in July and then went all the way on until 2007, with only 1 or 2 episodes finally ending the whole series. Nickelodeon loved to just hold off episodes for as long as humanly possible to kind of get a vibe of if the show was going to be successful and they should order more episodes or not. And this show, I definitely consider a failure because it never made it past 1 season. And even though 20 episodes, that's like not that much. Like, El Tigre had 26. But you know what? They took it off the air. Like, they knew it wasn't really working out and they needed to kind of clear room for better shows. I get it. I feel like the most notable relationship I even have with this show is remembering that it's on the Nick Picks Volume 4 DVD. They only have 1 episode on that box set, but like, it was definitely my intro and like kind of the episode I remember. Something weird that I didn't realize was that many of the members in this specific show were also in the Disney Lilo and Stitch series. Like Human Kimberly, who was voiced by Liliana, who also did Myrtle, Rob Paulson, Kevin McDonald, which is more than the normal amount of cast you would bring onto something like this. But yeah, so this ended in 2007, and sure, it wasn't a big hit, but it definitely was something in its history. I don't want to get too much into Life as a Teenage Robot, because it only really had a finale in Asia. But this was such a good show. Like, it went on for 3 seasons. It definitely was one of the OG Nickelodeon Nicktoons. It started in 2002 and literally went on to 2007. Episodes were like scattered so much and held out to a point where in America it ended on May 2009, but really it ended in 2007 in Nickelodeon Asia. They took it off Paramount Plus because apparently they needed shows to be on it that had more mass audience appeal.
You never let me do anything I want!
And I don't know how this show did not have mass audience appeal. Like, this was one of the best shows ever. Jenny Wakeman being half robot, half girl. Like, it's really inspirational, if anything. It's like a coming of age in the style of this Betty Boop, like, animation.
Ain't she cute? Sweet Betty.
And then, of course, we had Tucker and Brad as main characters. Like, there was something about it that was special. Rob Ronzetti was a really talented writer and producer at this time. I know this was one of the ones that started out as an Oh Yeah cartoon in 1999.
Oh yeah, cartoon!
See you next time on Oh Yeah Cartoon.
And just think about how much leg room it had, lasting all the way until 2007. And that's not even it. You know, like, they keep airing episodes later, so I don't even know why I'm counting it. I just had to go off on a mini rant because I really like My Life as a Teenage Robot. Like, something about just the dark nature of it makes it a lot more enjoyable. And if you guys seen my video breaking down the pilot, when I go over the pilot episodes of Nicktoons, I was so shocked at its start, but that's not 2007, so we're not going to harp on it too long. So yeah, 2007 ended one of the best Nicktoons of all time, My Life as a Teenage Robot. You know what also happened to end with the series finale this year? Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide.
I need to move on and get the sting out of my heart.
Yeah, one of the classic Nickelodeon shows, and I didn't realize that it ended when iCarly started. That's crazy. So they really kept us entertained with at least one super successful sitcom consistently throughout its run. No reason there's so many people attached to Nickelodeon that are like 3 years older than me or 3 years younger than me. Like, they were holding on strong for a majority of the 2000s.
Cookie, the ladies really love him. Cowboy Cookie, the best you ever saw. Cowboy Cookie, the bullies they don't scare. Cowboy Cookie, yippee yippee yow!
Its final episode came out in June of 2007, and I don't know if you guys remember, but it was like the classic 90-minute episode Guide to Field Trips, and it had the infamous, and I know you guys keep saying that I say infamous incorrect, and I'm kind of doing it on purpose at this point, the infamous kiss between Ned and Mose, which definitely made the series finally tie up with a bow, as that's kind of what they were teasing the whole time. But this show had such a good place in my heart, as I watched it the second it came out in 2004, and way until the end. Maybe I thought like I was outgrowing it, but I definitely always had a good view of this show. Some of the best episodes that I liked in season 3 were all in 2007. This was like the best year for Ned's Declassified too. Like the extra credit episode, the girls and boys episode, and just the whole beginning of the arc between Ned and Mose was just so subtly hinted at and then finally paid off in the end. Like, this was such a good way to go.
And now that Ned and I are going out, join ya. And we all live happily ever after.
It held us strong for these episodes, and I loved it at the time. And who could forget the series finale of one of the best shows of all time, Drake and Josh? No. Yeah, you guys remember Drake and Josh. This was definitely one of the best shows ever. I do a lot of retrospectives about it on my channel, although I'm kind of winding down now where I feel like I covered enough of the topics. So this show started in 2004, like right in 2004, like early January. And it went all the way until September 16th, 2007. And most of season 4 was blocked by being half released in 2006 and half 2007, trying to make it last as long as humanly possible. And I'm not sure if you guys saw any of my production dates or error code videos, but they really messed up with this season. And I mean, not horribly, but the finale was aired out of order, and that really bothers me. It ended on August 3rd, 2007 with the great finale, Really Big Shrimp.
Look at this! Have you ever seen one this big? It's a very big shrimp. Yeah, I'll see.
That's when Drake finally gets a record deal and Josh gets to be his manager, and they make one last call out to the shrimp that they dealt with in the series finale of The Amanda Show.
Hey, shrimp!
Well, I want it.
No, I want it.
Give it.
No, I want it. Give it. Let me have it.
If you remember that. This was definitely a sad, sad time for Drake and Josh as it came to an end, so 2007 must not have been amazing for everybody. But you had iCarly to make up for it. Why are you guys complaining? Get over it.
Get over it.
No, I'm just kidding, guys. I'm really not trying to be rude. Dang, this must have been the year that live-action sitcoms really came to a halt, because also Unfabulous ended that year. Unfabulous is that show about the junior high school student, Addie Singer, played by Emma Roberts, and she kept making songs about her life, her love life specifically, and her issues with her family and friends.
I can't drive and I can't vote. I can't even pierce my nose. So what does it mean to be 13? I can go to the movies and see PG-13. Can't see them when you're 12.
It was super relatable, and it definitely has a good spot in Nickelodeon history. I personally really liked watching it and I can't remember exactly how it ended, but looking back, it's really nice to have a proper send-off for a show that was as iconic as this. And the entire third season aired through 2007, so this was a full departure from what they started. Unfabulous was able to go on until 2011 when they started getting completely pulled off the air. Finally gone off the airwaves in 2016. Aww. But they did a good job. Like, it was super relatable. They even got some spin-off books and a video game? I don't know what's going on here. The final episode was the best field trip ever, where Addie plans a 3-day cruise as an 8th grade field trip, which is the perfect way to kind of put a tie on this whole series. I guess this was before Nickelodeon felt confident in bringing shows back for a 4th season, because like iCarly is the one that really spearheaded something like that. I would say Zoe 101, but that got revamped like 3 times. I don't count it. Like, Ned's Declassified fully came to a conclusion after the kids went to middle school. Like, you didn't get to see them in high school. And that's kind of the same way with this. I feel like Nickelodeon was just focused on their demographic, the people at the age that were watching it. But they definitely missed out on an opportunity. Like, this show specifically could have gone on a little bit longer, with the plots only getting more juicy every time they had a new season. But hey, it was a good run, and unlike Drake and Josh, at least its final episode wasn't randomly put out there. I've always been like thinking about doing a retrospective on Unfabulous specifically just because I felt like it was a lot more impactful than people give it credit for, although I haven't gotten a lot of interest. So if you guys think I should cover Unfabulous, comment in the comment section epitome. Yeah, epitome. It's Spanish for help. If you put that in the comment box, I'll know what you mean, and I'll do an Unfabulous retrospective. Just putting it out there. This show didn't go on for super long. Like, it actually only had 40 episodes total. But there was merchandise, video games, like this show definitely had a good run. Oh, and the last show that ended was actually a cartoon. Not a lot of Nicktoon shows ended this time around. But you know what? Danny Phantom did.
What have you done?
Oh, you guys remember Danny Phantom, right? Half ghost, half boy. This show is like, I don't even need to give you a summary of this. It was just so well known. Butch Hartman's TV shows. Infamously, after he created Fairly Odd Parents, he got moved up to create another show, and it was a half-hour scripted ghost show called Danny Phantom. It premiered on April 3rd, 2004, and finished in August 2007 with its final finale episode. Apparently, the show went over budget so often.
Hey, slow down, Jeff Gordon! You're going over the speed limit!
And even though people are still protesting against the show's cancellations, that's like a crazy way to go. Like, I had no idea it was because of over budget. But Butch Hartman should have got his stuff together because that's important. 53 episodes, though, is nothing to shy around about. 20 episodes in the first season, 20 in the second, and ending with 13. Having the smallest season be the last season. Most of the episodes aired in 2007, so I would definitely consider this like a famously ended show from 2007. Like, Nickelodeon said goodbye officially, and episodes 52 and 53 was called Phantom Planet. I don't remember this as much as most of the episodes of the show, which is really interesting. I wonder if this is exactly when I stopped watching television. Because in this one, Vlad hires a new team, the Master Blasters, to outdo Danny Phantom. And that kind of reminds me a lot of the Jimmy Neutron finale, League of Villains, where it had all the villains from the whole series come back to try to take down Jimmy Neutron.
King Goobot, Baby Eddie, Grandma Taters, the Junkman, Eustace, Professor Calamitous, Beautiful Gorgeous, Zix, Travolta, and T!
How come he said my name last?
And this is like similar, but Danny is able to take it a little bit further and takes away some of his powers, which is a really cool way to end it. I don't think Jimmy Neutron went that hard. But then of course there's this deadly asteroid that's about to strike Earth and the Ghost Zone, so everybody's in danger. One of those come together episodes, Kumbaya, like, those are always fun. And I felt like it was fair to kind of settle it down at this point. Like, they did a good job when they were going around, and they even had more than a few video games. Even coming back with Nicktoons All-Star Brawl recently. Like, this show is just consistently in the legacy. Oh yeah, and in 2022 to 23, apparently there was another Danny Phantom graphic novel set. So this show did really good. I would almost think of it as a loss to end in 2007, but that's just my opinion. There's a couple of more interesting facts and tidbits that I kind of wanted to tell you guys about, but nothing worth going in too in depth. Like, for example, the programming block section. In 2007, the N ended its last run. I don't know if you guys remember the N, but it was the teenage equivalent to Nickelodeon, but it was on another channel, and it had the more inappropriate shows like Degrassi, like, it was slightly more mature of an audience, but it still kept, like, Drake and Josh, Ned's Declassified, like, they would play episodes of shows that were on Nickelodeon, so it's kind of notable that the N ended here. One of the sad things is that the Wild Thornberrys aired for the last time on Nicktoons Network in 2007, so that's kind of depressing. The other shows that aired for the last time were Doug, The Ren and Stimpy Show, Rocko's Modern Life, Real Monsters, The Angry Beavers, Cat Dog, Invader Zim, The X's, and oh yeah, cartoons. That cartoon pilot program where they brought shows like My Life as a Teenage Robot, Fairly Odd Parents, like that was fully put at an end in this time too. Oh, and this is kind of interesting. This is when they aired the SpongeBob SquarePants Atlantis SquarePants special, which is funny. Usually I feel like they have at least one special a year, but this was the only one that year. The one where SpongeBob and all his friends get in that really interesting boat that requires you to sing.
Find the use of fossil fuels to be counterintuitive and have developed an alternative source we call song. The engine of this vessel is fueled by song. The more you sing of your desires, the closer to Atlantis you will get.
Going to the lost city of Atlantis, making everybody there angry, and having to leave it. It kind of felt a little out of character and a little too far-fetched for what made SpongeBob great at the time. Like, this was season 5, though. Because seasons 1 through 3 of SpongeBob are the actual, like, breadwinners.
Am I really gonna defile this grave for money? Of course I am!
Of the whole thing, with the actual classic quotes.
I'm ready! I'm ready! I'm ready! I'm ready! I'm ready! I'm ready!
And everything being in that time period. Season 4 had some nice moments, like Where's Gary? But that wasn't classic SpongeBob. Like, the episodes that everybody liked were the first 60, because after the first 60, the creator left. So if you liked episodes in Season 4, you liked the show after its prime.
I like it here. These are my people.
No fouls to you. That's like a really good show. I personally think it's great. Way past season 7 or even 8. I think the show is really well done. Sure, it doesn't match up to its original roots, but it was amazing for what it was. Atlantis SquarePants was definitely the decline of its impressiveness. Being like the first special, it kind of like wore it down a little bit. The characters were a little more exaggerated, but I did like the whole Willy Wonka type situation. Like, Mr. Krabs sees money, so he goes to try to take it. There was so much to like about the special, and even though we were kind of outgrowing SpongeBob at that point, it's still a cool thing that aired in 2007. And we can't forget some of the video games that came out. Like, I don't know if you guys realized, but 2 Drake and Josh video games came out this year. Drake and Josh, and then Drake and Josh Talent Showdown. I've never played either of these games, but apparently they're fun. I don't know, like, they have the 4th season Drake and Josh on the Nintendo DS game Talent Showdown, and the original Drake and Josh game also had the same exact clip art, but it was for the Game Boy Advanced. And this show did not translate well to the video games. They definitely gave it like a 7 out of 10, which isn't bad. You know, like, the graphics were apparently really good, but you definitely can't make out the characters or environments, which is the whole point of the show. And apparently they have a ludicrous amount of obstacles and super unfair time limits, which make it a really not fun game. Even the Nintendo World Report rated it a 4.5 out of 10, saying that it's like a lot of outdated features were involved. They also released Nicktoons Attack of the Toy Bots this year, which is a noticeable improvement from its first one, Nicktoons Unite, which is a very interesting addition to the Nicktoons Unite series. The first one we had was Nicktoons Unite Danny Phantom, Jimmy Neutron, SpongeBob, Timmy Turner. Great. Then we had Battle for Volcano Island, which was the sequel to that one. That's like named the peak of the series, one of the best video games incorporating Nicktoons, and I definitely have been meaning to play it, but I really don't feel like it. Please don't make me. And then this one is the sequel to that one, Attack of the Toy Bots. And I know it was pretty well received. It was on the Wii, so the whole GameCube era was over, and it actually incorporated way more characters than any of the other games before it. But for me, I just wasn't buying it. It just didn't catch my attention. And the platforming was really basic. They didn't really have like a hub world or anything. It just was like level after level, and it felt like the laziest one in that series. I heard different things about the following after that, Globs of Doom, but we're stuck in 2007 right now. We can't go anywhere.
Okay, we are stuck. We are stuck. Hey?
Yeah, I'm just kidding. You know what I mean, though. And then, of course, they released the SpongeBob Atlantis SquarePants PS2 and handheld versions, which were definitely some of the worst games ever. Not only the worst SpongeBob games, but I really feel like they're just like attack of minigame after minigame without any real progression in the story. It's almost like the people who made the video game didn't even watch the episode. They were just given animation cells and then just had to work with it. Like, it's just not fair for what it did. At least we had Attack of the Toy Bots, though. I feel like it wasn't too bad. It just stopped the reputation from going downhill. And if you're me, you love DVDs. And I have to talk about some of the DVD releases because DVDs are like my everything. Like, they're my favorite form of media, physical media. And nothing represents the time we grew up in more than a DVD with the episodes on it. Because it was the network saying like, hey, if you want to get into this show at this year, I bet you'll like this. And it has to say a little bit about the culture, like, what did we watch at that time? Since we were on Season 5 of SpongeBob, Season 4 Volume 2 was just getting released in January. The first 3 seasons of SpongeBob were perfectly packaged in these really nice, beautiful box sets that could slip open, and you could see more art from the show, 3 discs. It was just a really nice system. And then they switched to Season 4, where they split it into 2 volumes, which was really unnecessary. Like, sure, they made an episode count go a little bit higher, with the first 3 being 20 episodes, and then the next one being 26. So of course you'll split them into 2 13 episode discs, but it was really bothering me at the time because it just felt like a little less effort. Of course, even further later releases like 8, 9, 10, like all these other SpongeBobs make me miss these days of SpongeBob Season 4 Volume 2. It was definitely like art in its own right. Specifically having SpongeBob be on the bubble gum on the cover art, like, it's so nostalgic for me to remember 2007. And SpongeBob was just, I don't know, I felt like it was at a really good place at that time. And then we had Avatar: The Last Airbender Season 2 Volume 1, and they did this thing where they released 4 different individual discs for the entirety of each season of Avatar: The Last Airbender. And while they do have the complete season sets, like Season 1, Season 2, and Season 3, they always started, though, with the individual discs. I've actually collected all of them up until this point because I'm pretty nostalgic for that whole Blockbuster thing.
Welcome to Blockbuster Video.
Is popping up all over the country. There's one near you.
Blockbuster Video. Wow, what a difference.
Like, I'm not sure if you guys remember going to Blockbuster in the 2000s, but in specifically 2007, if you went, you would find Season 1, Volume 1, Season 1, Volume 2, Season 1, Volume 3. There'd be a lot of stuff to look at for Avatar: The Last Airbender specifically. And I don't think a lot of other shows, if any of them, did that at that point. And with the second season releasing this year, I guess they were on their second season. That's why they didn't fall into the category of a show that just started or just finished. Like, this was probably the peak of Avatar: The Last Airbender. And that's interesting to note, especially when we're talking about the DVDs. Same thing with SpongeBob, like, he would not have been mentioned otherwise because the season premiere was in 1999 and it's still going, like, there's nothing to mention there. But I do miss the days with all the DVDs going around, being able to rent them, buy them, like, this was my peak. SpongeBob had their little, like, side DVDs, like, in addition to the season sets, they usually would release even more modern episodes that would take too long to wait for a DVD release. Like, they had Bikini Bottom Adventures, the DVD, that year. And then they had SpongeBob Friend or Foe, which took that one individual special from the year before and gave it its own DVD. Because they knew Season 5 would take forever to come out on DVD if they're just releasing Season 4. You guys know what I'm getting at, right? I just love DVDs. I have to keep talking about it. So yeah, the world of DVDs in 2007, Nickelodeon was going off. They were putting out some good stuff. They even committed to oversaturating the Devin Werkheiser market. Devin Werkheiser, you ask? Yeah, that's the lead guy from Ned's Declassified. They still do a podcast today for Ned's Declassified, but he is the title character. And around this time, they used him for a lot of stuff, specifically Shredderman Rules. They released Ned's Declassified's first DVD as the Special Field Trip Edition with the final episode on it, which is kind of depressing. I wish they had at least one more release before it. They had the Naked Brothers Band Battle of the Bands DVD come out this year, which was another special that tacked on an episode or two of the series itself. But that's definitely a way to keep the show alive after it ended. They had the Naked Brothers Band movie DVD also that year, which means that they were definitely in the atmosphere. They were trying to promote Naked Brothers Band as much as possible. And I didn't realize, actually, going back to Avatar The Last Airbender, but they also had the complete second season release, and then they went into Season 3 Part 1. So they were pumping out DVDs left and right at this time. Like, can you imagine? We are not in that time anymore. Like, people never put out DVDs. But let's talk about the successes and the failures of 2007 Nickelodeon. I would say that the failures are things that made the network look not as good, like things that gave you a little bit less hope for the future in 2008. And then the successes are like, oh, this is really getting on the right track. We're going to be having a good series. We're going to have a good lineup from now on. And it's so much easier to judge these things looking back, considering that we didn't really know what was good or bad for the company. I mean, I'm sure even they were guessing, but now looking back, we definitely know what could have been right and wrong about all this. I feel like one of the failures of the year, I would say, was Tak and the Power of Juju. It sucks because it's like, it was such a short show. They couldn't release all the episodes before they had to switch it to the Nicktoons network instead of mainline Nickelodeon, which showed that they kind of gave up on it before it could really run. It's impressive that Nickelodeon themselves started a successful game series before they did a TV series, but like, they should have at least held it out. With the success of the game, there was guaranteed to be at least success down the line, but with only one season, you can't really figure that out. So I'm considering this as one of the failures of Nickelodeon 2007, because if I were as old as I am now back then, I would be like, this network is going down. Maybe not after this one, but definitely El Tigre. El Tigre definitely spells out the issues they were having of canceling things a little too quickly. Like, I feel like looking back in the era of streaming, if we had more episodes of these shows, they had more of a chance to gain a cult following, like actually have people look back on them. A good example is Invader Zim. That was a somewhat successful show, but it just shows you the more episodes you have to work with, the more of a long-lasting legacy it leaves. Another failure, I would say, is My Life as a Teenage Robot. That show should not have been as short as it was. I feel like it didn't get a chance to go back on the upswing, maybe because the views were down or things weren't working as well, but they just got XJ9 in Attack of the Toy Bots. Like, it felt like they were burying this show, not acknowledging how much of a cultural impact, and the fact that the Paramount Plus took it off recently because it wasn't one of the popular ones, like, I don't buy that stuff. Like, it definitely was a memorable show for all of us 2000 fans, and Nickelodeon never acknowledged it back then, and they don't acknowledge it today, so I'm definitely considering that one of the failures. Another failure, I would say, if I was more cognizant at this age, which I was in elementary school, I would say the way Drake and Josh ended definitely would have been a failure. Why? Because Really Big Shrimp was the full circle moment. They ended the series perfectly, but because of the production codes and air dates and numbers that go into all that, they aired it before the dance contest episode. So technically the final episode is Dance Contest. But I don't like looking back at Dance Contest and being like, this is the end of Drake and Josh forever. Like, I want to look back at Really Big Shrimp and say that. And sure, we had iCarly premiere this year, so maybe we were at the crossroads of something even greater, but none of us really cared because Drake and Josh was the best show for years at this point. Like, we wanted to keep watching it. And to go out on such a sour note without celebrating it and quietly putting it out, I'm looking back and I'm like, that would have been a red flag for me at the time. I'm glad it didn't end up biting them in the butt as much as I thought it would, but definitely a failure. But now let's talk about the successes. These ones are more exciting. I definitely think the Naked Brothers Band was a success. They started with a movie, ended on the movie. They had a couple DVDs come out that year, and I think they had video games come out in the past, but this is kind of ending on a perfect note. And sure, they didn't have a lot of episodes. I think around like 40, 38, I don't know, something like that. But this show was created by a mother and real kids. Like, they had a mockumentary in a film festival. Like, this is the most ground up a TV show can get. And you could feel it. It's genuine. Like, this whole show was written from a genuine place, has awesome kid actors that aren't being abused, which of course I can't speak for that, but knowing that it was the mom in charge of the whole show, I'm sure they were able to get some sort of balance. And having only 13 episodes per year, like, that shouldn't have overwhelmed them in a way that iCarly with 30 episodes per year would have harmed the kids. So that was definitely a success, maybe more so behind the scenes than I would give it credit for, but like, Nickelodeon was on an upward trajectory nonetheless because of this. Barnyard, I feel like also, probably because they just picked it up at this point. Like, they had a successful movie and they're jumping to a TV show, which is a formula that worked really well for Jimmy Neutron, as you guys can remember. They had the Jimmy Neutron movie, then the 3-season show. Barnyard definitely got 2 seasons. Sure, it wasn't as long, but I feel like the show in itself, its quality is so good, and even looking back, it stands the test of time. It's really funny, and even though there wasn't DVDs released for it, which bugs me, I still got them on Amazon though. But it gave me a little bit of hope that it wasn't just an El Tigre situation where they're gonna just cancel things all the time. But this was proof that they could still make funny shows, funny cartoons, and keep it going. And that means a lot to me as a watcher of Nickelodeon in 2007. Ned's Declassified I would also consider as a success because they finally got to have a full-length finale, like almost movie length. And that does a lot of good respect for a 3-season show. They were the perfect amount of episodes, the perfect amount of seasons, and the perfect finale. I feel like it was exactly the way it should have left it. And Nickelodeon celebrated it at the time. They had it involved in all their events. It was on the Teennick DVD set. And it ended in a really respectful way where it was the last episode that ended. So Nickelodeon definitely deserves a little bit of credit because it very carefully finished with shows that deserved what they needed to finish off for the audience. I would also say that Attack of the Toy Bots was a success. The video game that came out in 2004 came out for PS2 and a bunch of other systems. Oh yeah, it came out for Wii. But it was the first crossover game to feature characters like Rocko's Modern Life, Ren and Stimpy, Our Real Monsters, The Angry Beavers. Like, this was unheard of at the time. And I was a little salty because My Life as a Teenage Robot was there, but like in such a small way, like just one of the unlockables. But at least it was there nonetheless. Even All Grown Up, like, they took the time to get all these characters a little bit of a moment on this game, which did not happen in Battle for Volcano Island or the first Nicktoons Unite game. So this definitely deserves a little bit of credit. Overall, 2007 was a wild year. Yeah, insane. With some of the most iconic shows premiering, going on, and ending. Even franchise editions like video games and DVDs had their showcase. Like, it was quite the time to be alive. I feel like 2007 was when they really knew what the culture wanted out of fan service, and even though they had a few slip-ups like My Life as a Teenage Robot getting canceled, El Tigre not living up to its full potential, it made up for it in so many other ways, with the introduction of iCarly, the really nice bow wrapped on Unfabulous, and Ned's Declassified. It just started to really know what it was doing. But looking back, I was like, this is definitely not the end of their golden era. Like, you'd think it'd be after Jimmy Neutron or Fairly Odd Parents, but you know what? The shows were still going strong. And even though Danny fandom had just ended, I definitely consider the golden era to still have been going throughout 2007. If anything, I feel like it went to 2010, but we're gonna have to talk about that in other videos. Thank you guys so much for watching this deep dive into 2007. It definitely brought back a lot of nostalgic memories for me, and I love looking back, especially when I'm looking at my DVDs or physical media, at one of the best times in television history. TV shows, specifically kid shows, don't need to be Emmy-winning shows, but you know what? They kind of borderline were. A lot of great stuff happened that year that would only keep the network going on for much, much longer. If they really made any more mistakes this year, I'm sure they wouldn't have even gotten to a 5th and 6th season of iCarly. Isn't that weird to think about? Like, a lot of the future success is contingent on the work they did on these other shows. Nickelodeon had a big responsibility. But if you guys really found this format interesting and had fun with me, I feel like it's important to do another year. You know, like maybe we could figure out the best of 2008 or 2006. Definitely comment a year you think is worth covering. And until next time, everybody, this is Johnny 2000. Thank you so much for listening to me for an hour. I definitely pity you if you thought you had that much free time. No, I'm just kidding. Seriously, though, thank you guys. My channel's been growing every day, and I'm so grateful, because without you guys watching so attentively, I don't think I would have gotten this far. I wouldn't have had the space to make my videos better than they are. And you know what? They're just getting better and better, and I'm proud of every editor I've brought on, every topic I've been getting to cover. Like, this is just quite the dream for me. So thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. Don't forget to sign up for one of my memberships if you wanted to get one of the retrospectives early. But if not, just send it to your friends. Have a good time. I don't know, guys. Thank you guys, and have a great day.